What is up, guys? Ben here with the Health Matrix, and welcome to the channel. To anyone new, it's a growing channel, so please like and subscribe. You know the whole deal. I want to talk about the financial matrix. This video is geared more towards the younger people. Maybe you're in your late teens, 18, 19, 20, early 20s, mid 20s, somewhere around there, okay? Because although people are under the impression that, and correctly so, that the financial situation in the U.S. is very bad. And I'll talk more about that in a moment. I don't think people realize just how insidious it can be and how we basically literally get nickel and dimed on a daily basis. And I want people to start to notice these tiny things around them and see what examples you can come up with and leave them in the comments section below if you know what I'm talking about or if you have other examples of this. So I'm just going to pop off. We know, for instance, that let's talk about the big ones. We're talking about inflation. Inflation is, for you guys, if you don't know, basically, inflation is when the government or the Federal Reserve creates money out of thin air, basically prints money, as they say. It's loaned to the government, which is then required to pay it back with interest. And when more money comes into the money supply, each dollar becomes worth less until eventually it's worthless. But that's why when you see these government bills passing a lot of times, where this $3 trillion stimulus bill and this pops through, you see down the line trickle down inflation, where that's why your groceries get more expensive, your car insurance goes up, everything goes up, the cost of vehicles in general goes up, commodities go up, pretty much everything gets more expensive, every single thing. Housing, staying in an apartment, your rent. Now there's other factors at play here. Sometimes you've just got greedy landlords that want to charge as much as they can, overcharge. There is people overcharging for things, but basically everything gets more expensive because every dollar you have is worth less because of the supply and demand. That's the basics of inflation. But what I want to talk about in this video is more of the nickel and diming, as I call it. The little cuts. Death by 1,000 cuts, as the Chinese say. So here's an example. Here's a few examples that I've noticed. The first one I ever noticed that really annoyed me, and this is how small and how detail-oriented I was looking at this, was I went to put air in my tire one day, and I hadn't used one of those pumps at the gas station, one of those air pumps, for some time. And I went to put my quarters in, and I remember it had been like 50 cents before, and this time it was like $1.25. And I was just like, what? Why is this, 75 cents more? Now, obviously 75 cents in an air pump does not mean much in the long run, right? That's one of those 1,000 cuts. But as you're about to hear more examples, this is what adds up to just suddenly your money just doesn't go as far, even as you may make a little bit more money down the line. So it's like, that may be a stupid example, but here's another one I noticed. People have been talking about their electricity bills going up monthly, right? Maybe not a lot. Sometimes people are seeing massive jumps. Hundreds of dollars, right? Property taxes. I don't own my own place, so I don't pay property taxes. But for people that do, sometimes they go up by $500, $1,000. I've heard $2,000 a year. And your income, again, if your income is staying the same, you're losing money. You're slowly like dropping off of this little cliff. I just looked at my internet bill, and when I first got into this place I'm in right now, it was like $70 a month. And that was kind of an intro rate. I knew that it would go up a little bit. And before long, it was up to like $78. And it stayed there for a while. Then I noticed that I would get these bills and it would just be like, okay, now it's $85. Then all of a sudden it was $92. I just got my latest bill. It's just 100 flat. It was just $100. It's like, okay, there's like essentially about $22 a month just from that internet bill. Car insurance, you'll notice that your car insurance premiums will just consistently go up little by little. The food at the supermarket will go up. Something that was meat was at one point, $7.95 a pound. All of a sudden it's $8.25. All of a sudden it's $8.50. And a lot of people don't notice because it's so slow. It's the boiling of the frog, as they say. And before you know it, 4 or 5 years have passed, 10 years have passed. And unless you're like rapidly moving up the financial ladder, which most people are not, most of us are not. We may be making little strides, but we're not like, I'm not making like an extra $10,000 a year, consistently year over year. By the way, the poverty rate, they just said, and they base the poverty rate, I don't know exactly how they base it. I looked at it earlier, but it used to be about $48,000. And I've heard recently that for a dual income house, a family, it's about $120,000 a year. And at $120,000, if you're younger, that sounds like a ton of money. But it's really not. And in our head, we still think it's a lot of money, but then out in the real world, it's not. So it's like I was talking about my internet bill, right? I'm trying to think of what else there is. Just little things. Obviously, car repairs are another thing. Just materials in general. All of these things just go up slowly over time. Slowly. And sometimes a lot of times just because of inflation, because inflation gets passed down off. But there's other factors at large. But what I really just want to get down to, what I really want to harp on is that in the financial matrix, like you have to understand that you are meant to be, the system is rigged against you. These elites and we see all the crazy stuff going on in the world right now. With all this stuff going on, people are looking for that savior, but you have to look in the mirror for that savior. Because unless you have an ace up your sleeve, a rabbit in the hat, so to speak, and you're ready to like make a huge financial move, or you're already majorly financially set, have some massive, maybe you've got a ton of Bitcoin or something like that, the game is rigged against you. That's why I see the younger generation, you see it in the real world where a lot of these younger people, and I'm only saying like younger as in like early 20s, because that's when you're first getting, a lot of times they're getting that first job, right? They may be like in college, or maybe they didn't go to college or whatever, but they work at like making a burrito shop or a fast food place or something like that, or T-Mobile, right? Customer service job, where you used to be able to make a little bit of money. It's not going to be like anything to write home about, but they seem miserable and they seem lost. And when you talk to people about their financial situations, it's oftentimes can be quite depressing. And so this isn't meant to be a doom and gloom video, but I think what I'm trying to get across is that you have to take it into your own hands. What I meant to say with that little example of people working at the burrito shop is they're waiting for someone to raise their minimum wage. Because even at that point, if you go from $20 to $25 an hour, that sounds so great, but when you think about all the things I just said, all the little things that add up over time, and that doesn't even include when life comes at you and you get a major car repair, which is also more expensive, where you have to make a major replacement in your vehicle, and the items, again, the materials are way more expensive. Part of that's because of tariffs, but what I'm saying is you have to navigate the financial matrix, you have to kind of have to forget the rules. because a lot of people are good people, and they want to play by the rules. They want to do things the right way, pay their taxes on time, not make a big fuss, do things the old-fashioned way. And all I can say is that it's almost like you're playing a game of soccer against another team. Let's say team A is us, the average person, right? Team B is the elites, as we call them, the ruling class, the people that make the rules, the people that have all the money, the control, the levers of control, all of that. And while we're playing soccer, I hope you know the rules of soccer. While we're kicking the ball around, they're using their hands. They're like stopping the ball in midair with their hands, dropping it down, and we're over here like, whoa, wait, you can't do that. That's not how the game is played. It's not the rules. And meanwhile, they're kicking goals left and right and beating the living crap out of us. And in the end, they win 15-2, and we're sulking off. We're trying to get off the field, just saying, well, at least we played by the rules. At least we did our best, right? And that's how they want us to be a lot of times. They want you to be like, yeah, I did it the way I was supposed to do it. But when the whole point is the game is rigged. You can't play by the rule. You should not play by the rules of a game where the people that made the rules made it so they're always going to have an upper hand. It's like they get the chessboard out and they take away your queen and then start the game. Okay? It's just like, well, that's the rules. Oh, I guess I got to play by the rules. But hey, they rigged it. They rigged it so that you're supposed to be broke. That's how this is supposed to go. You're supposed to be broke and dependent and stupid and fat. And again, not to be doom and gloom, but once you realize that you got to step outside of the system. You got to find a new way. You got to break some of the rules. It doesn't mean you have to break the law. It doesn't mean you have to do anything crazy. It just means maybe instead of going to school for 4 years for that useless degree, like everyone told you should do, and go get that job that you may or may not hate, and just sit in the cubicle all day. Maybe you go out and actually start a business. And there's so many different ways to make money these days. You can make money online. You can work. I mean, you can sell things. You can buy and flip cars. You can flip items. You can do all types of stuff. There's online e-commerce. The internet, phones, as bad as they are, have given us so many opportunities. But you have to realize that the game is rigged financially. And the sooner to solve the problem, you have to see it first, right? If you don't see what the problem is, how are you supposed to solve it? And so a lot of people want to keep their head in the sand, pretend like these things I'm saying aren't true. But those of us are watching channels like this, you may not know it as intently as I do, but it's very clear that the game is rigged. And so guys, that's all for the video today. Thanks for watching. Again, if you do enjoy the content coming down the line, like, subscribe, comment what you think about what I'm talking about, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.